Hi everyone. In advance of the sessions that will be taking place today, I'm going to show you a number of features in Zoom which on one hand can help you with security so that you don't have any issues within the Zoom sessions. And in addition to that, some of them are advanced features which can make your life a little bit easier. We're going to the Zoom.us website and you're logging in with your INY Zoom account. Reminder, this is not the INY website login, admin login. This is the INY Zoom account which I emailed about last night, which you hopefully verified is hooked up to Stephanie's YU account through which we got our licenses. I'm logging in with my username and password. If you do not have your password, click on the forgot option and it will be sent to you by Zoom. Once we're in, we're going down the admin menu on the left and we're clicking on settings. A very long page loads. It's divided into sections that you can see here in the middle: security, schedule meeting, in-meeting basic, in-meeting advanced, and so on. We're not going to look at all the options. Not all of them are important or relevant, but some of the important ones we're going to focus on for a few minutes. Also, please be very careful with the options that I do not mention. Some of them could interfere with our automated meeting creation. So if you have any questions, please ask me. On the very top of the page, we've got waiting room. This option might be useful if you would like to prevent people from entering the room before you begin. I would recommend, unless you have a co-host with you, which we'll speak about in a minute, I would recommend to leave this disabled. So as soon as people enter with the link, they will be in the room waiting for you. We're scrolling down. And the section called Schedule Meeting, the first two options refer to video. I would recommend to leave these options, both host video and participants video, I would recommend to leave them enabled by default, meaning that both you and your participants, the video will be on as soon as you enter the room. I'm sure you enjoy speaking to people looking at you rather than black screens. And obviously people can still disable it once they're in, but at least by default it is on. The option allow participants to join before host. Again, this is up to you. If you would like them to wait for you, you can set that to enable, and you can allow them. You can define how many minutes they can enter before the actual session starts. Again, this is up to you. There's no suggestion one way or another. This option mutes all participants when they join the meeting. I would recommend to leave on. Just because people sometimes don't notice that their microphone's on and it's recording whatever's going on around them. So I would suggest to leave this up, to make this option enabled so that they're muted as they come in. Scrolling down to the section called In Meeting Basic, we've got a number of options that refer to the chat. Unless you have a co-host with you, I would recommend to disable the chat. The chat on the one hand can be useful if people want to ask questions without interrupting you, but on the other hand it could be disruptive to you, both in terms of questions coming in while you're presenting or students chatting between themselves while you're presenting. So again, if you have a co-host with you, you can leave this on if you think it's beneficial to you. Otherwise, my recommendation is to leave it disabled. Scrolling down, some of these options are on by default. By me, they're already off. File transfer, I would recommend to leave as disabled. Coming down to co-host. Co-host, as we discussed, is a useful option if you have someone presenting with you, either someone talking with you, presenting alongside with you, or if you just want to have someone from your staff in a meeting with you just to make sure that things are running smoothly and that there's no issues from any of the participants while you're speaking. So by default, this option is off. If you think this is relevant to you, enable it, and then it will be enabled in all meetings. How do you use it? As soon as your co-host logs in with the regular attendee link, not the admin link, the regular attendee link, you will be able to click on their options in the little blue box next to their video icon. They have a blue box which is their menu specific to them. Each participant has this little blue box above their video, and you can mute them or remove them. And one of the options, once you have enabled this general co-host option, one of the options is to make co-host. Once they're co-host, they will have the same privileges as you do. Scrolling down, always show meetings control toolbar. You can have this disabled. Screen sharing. This is an important feature. If you think this is relevant to you, then leave it enabled. But please note that by default, it's enabled that all participants can share their screen. This is not a good option to leave enabled. So if you think it's useful to you, then leave the general option enabled, but make sure that it's set that only the host can share their screen. The same for all these other options. Make sure that it's disabled desktop share for other users. Make sure annotation is disabled. Make sure that whiteboard is disabled. Unless, again, these are options that you're going to be using. But just make sure that it is set that only you and not participants can use these options, not the participants. That's about it. There shouldn't be anything else here that's very important, but you're welcome to scroll down and look at them. That's about it. If you have any other questions, please let me know.